To understand an idea, you must replicate it in your mind. It starts with a long series of unstable variants being replaced by inadequate alternatives until the right idea persists. That applies to all knowledge. And since it applies to all knowledge and all ideas, I would expect that to also apply to art. And I want to know about how to appreciate works of art. I don't really know. Understanding is not where I'm coming from, the angle I'm coming from, but they seem to be relevant or related. To appreciate a work of art, it has to be replicated into the mind. That's how I think about it. But of course, we know not every work of art is fully replicated into the mind of a person to be appreciated. I mean, I think most of the time, generally speaking, people are not replicating the entirety of a work of art in order to copy it or in order to appreciate it in their mind. They're not replicating all of it. They're replicating parts of it. And I think this is a relevant or a very important thing here. It's not that you're copying random parts into your mind to be appreciated. There are certain relevant parts that are being replicated. And I'm saying replicated because I want to highlight this part of this process that is the creation of many different unstable variants and inadequate alternatives. That process starting, that is how things are copied into the mind. So if you have a work of art and only certain parts of it are being copied, and of those parts that are being copied, most of the time they're being copied incorrectly and they're unstable and they're being replaced by alternatives, that gives us a little bit of a hint, a little bit of a insight into what is going on, a little bit of insight into what is necessary in order for something to be appreciated and the type of thing that can be appreciated. Because of course, you can't appreciate the whole thing, but you have to be able to appreciate parts of it that can be replicated. And you could have a work of art that is so vague that nothing can be replicated into the mind. I want to say that the parts that are replicated from a work of art, those are the important parts. And that the parts that are not replicated could be fully replaced by something else or removed entirely. And the work of art would be no different, because the only relevant part are the parts that do replicate, because those are the only parts that actually get into your mind, and those are the only parts that you can actually appreciate because they're in your mind. Anything else that doesn't actually replicate into the mind can't be appreciated. But you can't appreciate something that's not in your awareness. And so an important aspect of being able to appreciate a work of art would be to know how to replicate or what to replicate. Of course, it's usually this sort of blindly looking at the work of art and guessing at random things. Of course, if it's a completely new work of art, you won't know what to replicate. But if you have some awareness of certain genres or certain techniques in works of art, then you could know what to replicate, then you can know how to appreciate it. Or somebody can just point out what to replicate in a work of art. Hear a review from somebody and they say, oh, really, it's the music that's great about this movie. And then you know to pay attention to that so that it replicates into your mind so that you can actually appreciate it. And the thing that I'm trying to point out about replication is that it is a very active process. It's not something that it's not something that you passively do. You're not just receiving the world. You are looking at certain parts and copying those parts into your mind. But then even the copying part is not faithful. It's a very lossy, it's a very error-prone copying. So then you copy more, and then you change what you copied initially, and you have different variations that you think fit better until you create this structure that seems to hold together. There are not too many contradictions, at least none that you notice, and it seems to stabilize in your mind, and then that can be appreciated. But this is a fully active process. The reason why this is important is to recognize that appreciation is active, that you can better appreciate by better remembering parts of a work of art, or knowing what to look for, knowing what to see so that it replicates into your mind. It starts as a sort of floundering, totally blind process when you don't know anything about art and you don't know anything about the work of art that you're appreciating or attempting to appreciate. Of course, it becomes more systematic, but still blind, as you come to works of art that you know, or genres that you know, and things, or you have certain techniques that you know to look out for. But all of those can be improved. You can learn things about a work of art. You can learn how to systematically look through a work of art. I say systematically as in still blind, but there's a particular process. It's not scattershot random. And I'm thinking of all this to set up for myself of all the ways, or set up for myself how to appreciate art more deeply, more broadly. I want to appreciate more art. So understanding the process of appreciation and all the things that are necessary for appreciation is important for that. That's why I'm starting here. I do want to insist and say that the parts that can replicate are very important, and we should highlight those parts of a work of art that do replicate into the minds of people and can be appreciated. Highlight those parts as being special, whereas the other parts can be replaceable. And that is where the beauty is. I myself have been calling everything that can replicate within a work of art, calling all of that beauty, or saying that all of that can be evaluated as beautiful. I still think that way, but I've got lots of pushback from it. So I want to make it clear that at least what I'm talking about includes beauty, whether what I'm talking about is exactly beauty or a superset of beauty. To me, not super important. Either it is beauty or beauty is a part of it. In either case, the qualities of beauty, the qualities of what I'm describing must apply to beauty. And it must apply to any other aesthetic value within a work of art. The value has to be something, the value has to be embodied in such a way that it can be replicated into the mind of a person and appreciated.